All right, beautiful people. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Starting another week. All right, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It is October the 25th, 2021, day 285 of year 3 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 953. Today, y'all, we are going to read Psalm 26 through 30. Then we're going to pick up over here in our new book we just started. What is that? It would be syrup, wouldn't it? And I would touch it. Hold on, this is going to pluck my nerves. I thought it was water. It's syrup. Hold on. I ate some pancakes last night. All right, beautiful people, hold on. It's going to pluck my nerves and the paper going to get sticky. Hold on. Mom, shalom, shalom, Levon, Hager, hey, Tiffany, Hager, hey, Trina, Betwabu, Alicia, hey, girl, hey. Okay. Then we're going to pick up reading the introduction in the new book that we're reading, which is the follow-up to Caesar's Messiah, Shakespeare's Secret Messiah. Right, still going into the details of all the shenanigans of the New Testament, and it's breaking down. You have to understand Shakespeare. When you look, you got to understand them all, because you will see everybody's part of the same. Not everybody, but they in cahoots with Rome and what they did, and they still pulling the same shenanigans all over the place. All right, y'all. So we're gonna pick up over here in the introduction. Yesterday we read the first 17 pages. We're gonna pick up on page 17. Shakespeare's Secrets. Have the book, y'all. If you don't have it, especially if you really are, or if you were, I mean, I guess you still could be a big fan of the book of Revelation or the prophecies, I would recommend you get it. I would recommend you get both of the books. The first one and this here second one. Because half of this book, the last half of this book is dedicated to the book of Revelation. Once it get through the all the connecting pieces and it begins to break down Revelation and how they took the different pieces from the different places and linked it all together, y'all. I was up last night, I was going through some of them, I'm just like once you begin to understand truth, like your outlook on life begins to adjust a lot, like a whole lot. And you begin to put things in its proper perspective and why you're really here on this earth, right? I'm just like, wow. Most people never get to that point. Like, they literally stay stuck in religion all their lives, right? And I don't know what happened to them after they go. I really don't. I don't know. I'm going to keep my comments to myself. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and start. The Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Remember, read the full chapter, right? We just condensed everything to get the gist of it, right? Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one, And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. Remember, verse 8, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Right? The hand represents the action, the movement, right? The frontlets between your eyes is what you meditate on, the brain, the thinking, right? Yahuwah tells us what to meditate on so that we can make our way successful before us, right? It yields to life and life more abundantly if you meditate on those things Yahuwah showed us that we should, right? Okay. Just a reminder, I ain't said that in a little while, but I figure I would today. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Bring this up. Yahuwah is one. Shalom, shalom. Okay, Psalm chapter 26, y'all. A Psalm of David. Declare me innocent, O Yah, for I have acted with integrity. I have trusted in Yahuwah without wavering. Put me on trial, Yah, and cross-examine me. Test my motives and my heart, for I am always aware of your unfailing love. For I am always aware of your unfailing love, and I have lived according to your truth. I do not spend time with liars or get along with hypocrites. I hate the gatherings of those who do evil, and I refuse to join in with the wicked. I wash my hands and declare my innocence. I come to your altar, O Yah, singing a song of thanksgiving and telling of all your wonders. I love your sanctuary, Yah, the place where your glorious presence dwells. Do not let me suffer for the fate of sinners. Do not condemn me along with murderers. Their hands are dirty with evil schemes, and they constantly take bribes. But I am not like that. I live with integrity. So redeem me and show me mercy. Now I stand on solid ground, and I will publicly praise Yahuwah. Psalm chapter 27. It's a psalm of David. Yahuwah is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? Yahuwah is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble? When evil people come to devour me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will not be afraid. Even if I am attacked, I will remain confident. The one thing I ask of Yahuwah, the one thing I seek most, is to live in the house of Yahuwah all the days of my life, delighting in Yahuwah's perfections and meditating in his temple. For he will conceal me there when trouble comes. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He will place me out of reach on a high rock. Then I will hold my head high above my enemies who surround me. At his sanctuary, I will offer sacrifices and shouts of joy, singing and praising Yahuwah with music. Hear me as I pray, O Yah. Be merciful and answer me. My heart has heard you say, come and talk with me. And my heart responds, Yah, I am coming. Do not turn your back on me. Do not reject your servant in anger. You have always been my helper. Don't leave me now. Don't abandon me, O God of my salvation. Even if my father and my mother abandon me, Yahuwah will hold me close. Teach me how to live, O Yah. Lead me along the right path, for my enemies are waiting for me. Do not let me fall into their hands, for they accuse me of things I have never done. With every breath, they threaten me with violence. Yet I am confident I will see Yahuwah's goodness while I am there in the land of the living. Wait patiently for Yahuwah. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for Yahuwah. Psalm chapter 28. It is a psalm of David. I pray to you, O Yah, my rock. Do not turn a deaf ear to me, for if you are silent, I might as well give up and die. Listen to my prayer for mercy as I cry out to you for help, as I lift my hands towards your holy sanctuary. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil, those who speak friendly words to their neighbors while planning evil in their hearts. Give them the punishment they so richly deserve. Measure it out in proportion to their wickedness. Pay them back for all their evil deeds. Give them a taste of what they have done to others. They care nothing for what Yahuwah has done or for what his hands have made, so he will tear them down, and they will never be rebuilt. Praise Yahuwah, for he has heard my cry for mercy. Yahuwah is my strength and shield. I trust him with all my heart. He helps me, and my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in songs of thanksgiving. Yahuwah gives his people strength. He is a safe fortress for his anointed king. Save your people. Bless Israel, your special possession. Lead them like a shepherd and carry them in your arms forever. Psalm chapter 29, it is also a psalm of David. Honor Yahuwah, you heavenly beings. Honor Yahuwah for his glory and strength. Honor Yahuwah for the glory of his name. Worship Yahuwah in the splendor of his holiness. The voice of Yahuwah echoes above the sea. The God of glory thunders. Yahuwah thunders over the mighty sea. The voice of Yahuwah is powerful. The voice of Yahuwah is majestic. The voice of Yahuwah splits the mighty cedars. Yahuwah shatters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon's mountains skip like a calf. He makes Mount Hermon leap like a young wild ox. The voice of Yahuwah strikes with bolts of lightning. The voice of Yahuwah makes the barren wilderness quake. Yahuwah shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Yahuwah twists mighty oaks and strips the forest bare. In his temple, everyone shouts, "Glory!" Yahuwah rules over the flood waters. Yahuwah reigns as king forever. Yahuwah gives his people strength. Yahuwah blesses them with peace. Last chapter for today, Psalm chapter 30. It is also a psalm of David, a song for dedication of the temple. I will exalt you, O Yah, for you rescued me. You refused to let my enemies triumph over me. O Yahuwah, my God, I cried to you for help, and you restored my health. You brought me up from the grave, O Yah. You kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to Yahuwah, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes with the morning. When I was prosperous, I said, nothing can stop me now. Your favor, O Yah, made me as secure as a mountain. Then you turned away from me, and I was shattered. I cried out to you, O Yah. I begged Yahuwah for mercy, saying, what will you gain if I die, if I sink into the grave? Can my dust praise you? Can it tell of your faithfulness? Hear me, O Yah, and have mercy on me. Help me, O Yah. You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I might sing praises to you and not be silent. O Yah, my God, I will give you thanks forever. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. That was Psalms 26 through 30. Shayla, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all. So here we go. If you got it, go ahead and open it. If not, just listen to me read it. All right. Page 17. What is that? Hold on. Okay. Let's go to page 17, y'all. All right. We're still in the introduction. I'm not sure. We might... I don't know. We might get through finish reading the introduction today. It's a complete overview of Caesar's Messiah. We might not, y'all. It's going to take us a couple days. This is long. The overview is 65 pages. So we'll probably still be reading this for the next, how did I say? Probably for the rest of the week, we'll be reading the introduction. Unless I start telling stories and stuff. Getting sidetracked with reading. Okay. Last paragraph at the bottom of page 17. The interpretation of the Dead Sea Scrolls is highly speculative because the scrolls were written as a sort of underground samizdat literature. All references to individuals were done using code words, and allegorical formulations were generally used for political commentary. However, based on a finely woven tapestry of comparisons to other sources, Eisman argues that the scrolls are also referring to the events leading up to the Jewish war, and that the colorful depictions of the righteous teacher and the spouter of lying are referring to James and Paul, respectively. In some aspects, we might recognize the religion of Jewish rebels as a sort of embryonic Christianity. The representations of the earliest Christian koinonia community in Jerusalem in the book of Acts may very well be a parody of James's church of rebels. Some of the wildly self-contradictory aspects of the New Testament may reflect the survival of the rebels' literature, which was too popular and well known at the time to be denied or suppressed, but could be incorporated into the Flavian version of the Gospels alongside newer materials promoting the Roman viewpoint. However, it will certainly be a mistake to view the Jewish rebel coalition as a purely populist, spiritually and economically progressive movement. Josephus pointed out that they received substantial leadership and economic and political support from the royalty of Adiabene, consisting of the family of the king Monobazus, Queen Helena, and their son Ezates. Eisman noticed that the realms of Adiabene and the land of the Essenes seem to be overlapping, and Ralph Ellis has argued that Monobus, Helena, and Ezates should be identified as the royal family of the city of Edessa, who were covertly affiliated with the Parthians. According to Ellis, this Ezates, who he identifies as the historical King Manu VI, saw himself not only as a Messiah to the Jews, but also as a contender for the throne of Rome. If this is the case, then the Jewish rebels were pawns in the vast dynamic struggle being played out between the Parthians and the Romans, and Ezates himself was another of possibly several rebel leaders parodied as Jesus in the New Testament. Ellis argues that Ezates was quite simply the historical Jesus, but I would have to disagree based on Eisman's criterion that Jesus was a Jewish man who was crucified under Pontius Pilate. Both Ellis and another self-taught biblical scholar, Lena Einhorn, have noticed extensive parallels between Josephus' narrative of events occurring between the years 44 and 56 CE. Can you do me a favor real quick before you get too comfortable? Go look in the truck and look in the visor and bring me those checks. I need to take them to the bank. Y'all about to take my truck. Go get them for me, please. Thank you. Both Ellis and another self-taught biblical scholar, Lena Einhorn, have noticed extensive parallels between Josephus' narrative of events occurring between the years 44 and 56 CE and a similar series of events and circumstances in the New Testament narrative covering the years 24 to 36 CE. A central figure in Josephus' account is the Egyptian prophet whose story matches biblical Jesus in many respects, except that his fate following his arrest at the Mount of Olives is not described by Josephus. Later on, according to Acts 21 and 38, the Apostle Paul was asked if he was the troublemaking Egyptian who stirred up a revolt among the Zealots. Einhorn speculates that the New Testament authors told their story with a 20-year time shift, and that Jesus, Paul, and the Egyptian prophet may have all been the same individual, and that's reference 10. Or, I would add, perhaps the Egyptian was indeed a rebel leader of the Zealots and was the true, but contrary to Erman, time transposed historical Jesus, and that after his execution, Paul the Herodian stepped into his place and tried to lead his movement in a different direction. Thank you. Aside from all this speculation about the Jewish rebel movement, its leaders, and its relation to Christianity, it's also necessary to consider the possibility that there was an early Roman and Herodian-controlled form of Christianity which was invented well before the time of the Flavians and which competed with the radical Messianic Judaism of the rebels. This would explain the activities of Paul and his conflicts with James as a promoter of this early form of Christianity. As Gauld wrote, quote, Paul, in particular, was a political intelligence operative for the Herodian kings, not only before his famous conversion on the road to Damascus, but after as well. Robert Shalom. End quote. In its most embryonic form, Paul's religion could have been developed as an abstraction of the cult of Julius Caesar, the founding deity of the Roman imperial cult of emperor worship. During his lifetime, Julius Caesar had aligned himself with the far left wing of the Roman political spectrum. That is, he was one of the populares, a supporter of reforms such as land redistribution, wider access to citizenship, and better pay for soldiers and the lower class in general. In this position, Caesar was at odds with the majority of right-wing optimists on the Senate who were determined to maintain the same extreme level of social stratification that prevailed at the time. In Caesar's sojourn in Egypt, he experienced the genuine adulation and reverence that the Egyptians felt for his paramour, Cleopatra VII of Egypt, who was not only admired for her statesmanship, but was also worshipped as a goddess and embodiment of Isis. Caesar was also a great admirer of Alexander the Great, who was similarly viewed as a sort of deity by the Greeks. As Pontifex Maximus, the head of the Roman priestly college, Caesar was already an honored religious leader of the Roman Republic. And as a war hero and an advocate of the people's human dignity, Caesar was fabulously popular with the general public of Rome. What? You about to say something? Hand these back up, though, for me, please. Thank you. All right, it's time to get rolling, son. I think Dad just heating up my truck. In such circumstances, it seems perfectly natural that Caesar may have decided to orchestrate the process of his own deification. His image, carved in ivory, appeared among the assembly of gods at the Roman circus. A day in Caesar's honor was added to the calendar alongside the days of Jupiter. A temple was built in his honor in Rome. Reference 12. Caesar was described as the savior of his nation and was admired for his... Caesar was described as the savior of his nation and was admired for his willingness to extend forgiveness to his former enemies. He was revered as a liberator, a great giver of freedom to the Roman people. Reportedly, he was especially admired by the Jews, who regarded him as an ally in their struggle for religious freedom and self-determination. Following Caesar's death in 44 BC, his apotheosis proceeded.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I didn't know if you were staying here listening. You was coming to give me a kiss.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay, I'll take it. Following Caesar's death in 44 BC, his apotheosis proceeded apace, driven not only by Caesar's enormous popularity amongst the rank-and-file people of Rome, but also by the industrious promotion by both of Caesar's designated successors, his adopted son Octavian and his chief priest Mark Antony. The Roman Senate. Okay.
I know.
All right.
I love you.
Okay, babe. Love you too. I saw your work boots. Look in the back of my truck, Jermaine. Somebody work boots in the back of my truck. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. They getting ready to roll out of here. He should look for them boots last night. He knew he was going to work today. Okay. The Roman Senate of... Hold on. Let me go back to this sentence. Following Caesar's death in 44 BC, his apotheosis proceeded apace, driven not only by Caesar's enormous popularity amongst the rank-and-file people of Rome, but also by the industrious promotion by both of Caesar's designated successors, his adopted son Octavian and his chief priest, Mark Antony. The Roman Senate officially consecrated Caesar's divinity in 42 BC, and thus Octavian obtained the title of Divi Filius, the Son of God, while Antony was confirmed as Flamen Divius Julius, the priest of the divine Caesar. The memory of Caesar as a god served both of those men equally, so they both devoted the tremendous resources of the Roman state towards construction and promotion of temples of the Caesar cult, which were erected in Rome, Caesarea, Alexandria, Antioch, Corinth, Ephesus, and Philippi, Thessalonica, and Smyrna. These were the same locations that were later named as the earliest centers of the Christian church. Yo, let me read that again, y'all. The memory of Caesar as a god served both of those men equally, so they both devoted the tremendous resources of the Roman state towards construction and promotion of temples of the Caesar cult, which were erected in Rome, Caesarea, Alexandria, Antioch, Corinth, Ephesus, Philippi, Thessalonica, and Smyrna. These were the same locations that were later named as the earliest centers of the Christian church. In his book, Jesus Was Caesar, reference chapter 13, Francesco Carrata postulated that a key ceremony of this Divus Julius cult might have been a reenactment of Caesar's funeral and Mark Antony's dramatic memorial oration. As it has come down to us in the histories of Suetonius and Apuleius, a centerpiece of the memorial service was a tropium, which was a pole with horizontal arms that was used to display war trophies. In this case, the tropium was used to display an effigy or wax simulacrum of Caesar's body cloaked in his blood-stained robe. In other words, it appeared as if Caesar was hung from a cross at his funeral. Gary Courtney and Etu Judas, Then Fall Jesus, that was a title, E-T-U Judas, question mark, Then Fall Jesus, F-A-L-L Jesus, okay. Gary Courtney and Etu Judas, Then Fall Jesus, also argued that the biblical story of Jesus' trial and crucifixion contains many illogical aspects and contradictions, which can be plausibly explained with the realization that the gospel stories of Jesus' trial, crucifixion, and resurrection are dramatizations of the assassination of Julius Caesar, his funeral, and his apotheosis. Courtney wrote, excuse me, this religious play may have evolved to comprise the following essential elements. Number one, a great and just man who astounds his age by instituting a comprehensive policy of forgiveness. Number 2, on the verge of becoming the king, he is betrayed and murdered by those he had saved. The treachery epitomized by his turncoat friend, Brutus. Number 3, when his tribulation begins, his close friend and religious deputy, sworn to protect him, flees in fear and disguises himself. Number 4, the murdered man's ultimate triumph, being resurrected as a god. Number 5, his betrayer commits suicide. Don't that sound familiar? That sounds just like Jesus and his crew, don't it? Okay. Caesar did it too. What better foundation myth could a religion hope for? It would be difficult to create a fiction that could lend itself more readily to the theatrical presentation. Is it not possible that the betrayal and murder of this ancient founder of the Roman Empire, Pontifex Maximus, and common savior of mankind, whose name Caesar, Kaiser, Caesar, came to be synonymous with king throughout the Western world, and the shedding of whose blood pierced the hearts of all mankind, influenced the development of the Christian religion? Is it merely a coincidence that the 5 points listed above constitute the heart and soul of the Passion of Christ? It's reference 14. If the ceremonies of the hypothetical Julius Caesar cult eventually became the core of the Christians' Easter commemorations of Jesus Christ, this could have been the result of a gradual progression. The Roman imperial cult typically focused its public adulation on the current emperor and his father, the most recently deified Caesar. However, it is also believed that the imperial cult functioned as a Hellenistic mystery religion, reference 15. And my speculation is that Caesar's funeral may have continued to be secretly reenacted as a rite of the cult for its more advanced members, while the association of the ritual with Julius Caesar as a particular human being was gradually de-emphasized and forgotten. Particularly among Hellenized Jews, a realization might have gradually dawned that Caesar was the Messiah that the Jews had been waiting for. Or it is also conceivable that the Herodians made a deliberate policy decision to adopt this reenactment of Caesar's funeral as the core of their own new Hellenistic mystery cult, which would offer the abstracted Caesar to the Jews as the true incarnation of their Messiah. This could have begun at a very early date. Corrada has pointed out that according to tradition, the Gospel of Mark was written in Latin in Rome 12 years after the ascension of the Lord, reference 16. If Julius Caesar was indeed the Lord being referred to, this would be just 5 years after the ignominious defeat of Antigonus, the last of the Maccabees, and the Mark who was attributed with the responsibility for this first draft of the Roman Gospel would have been Mark Antony, the Roman overseer of the Judean province at the time. However, although Caesar was undeniably a historical person, Corrada's claim that he was the historical Jesus would obviously be rejected under Ehrman's criteria on the grounds that he lived at the wrong time and place. In an ongoing process of religious innovation, the Romans and Herodians may have continued to develop this hybrid of Jewish and Roman spirituality during the first century of the common, that is, Christian era. As I will relate later, I believe that the Gospels and other documents of the early Roman Church were most likely maintained as secrets of the inner sanctuary of the cult, which was operated like other Hellenistic mystery religions of the time, which would explain why copies of these materials have not survived, and would also how the Romans were able to evolve the story over time while redacting earlier versions. Stephen Huller in The Real Messiah, reference 17, proposed that the historical Jesus was the leader of a rebellion of the Samaritans during the reign of Pontius Pilate. As Josephus told the story of this event, a certain rebel leader inspired a multitude of armed Samaritans to gather with the goal of climbing Mount Gerizim to see sacred vessels placed there by Moses. But Pilate's police routed the rebellion and captured and executed the rebel leader. Josephus, Antony, and this is reference 18.4.85 through 87. As a rebel, you can find that in the back, y'all, if you got it. As a rebel ordered to be slain by Pontius Pilate in 37 CE, this character seems to be an excellent candidate for historical Jesus according to Ehrman's criteria. At least he is a Jew, although presumably a Samaritan, who lives at the right time and place and who was a popular preacher, although Josephus does not tell us exactly where or how he was executed. Huller goes on to argue that this Jesus was portrayed by the Herodians as a forerunner to another Messiah who would come as the political savior to the Jews. In order to fulfill that prophecy, Huller argues the young Marcus Julius Agrippa, that is, Herod Agrippa II, then age 8, went to Alexandria in 38 CE, where he was crowned as the Messiah and King of the Jews. This coronation was said to be engineered behind the scenes by Philo, Marcus's mother or grandmother, Mary Salome, and the new emperor Caligula. The centerpiece of Huller's evidence for this theory is an artifact called the Throne of St. Mark. Huller argues that this throne could well date to the 1st century CE, as opposed to the dominant view that it is 5th century hagiographic relic. The throne has an inscription in Hebrew stating coronation of Marcus the Evangelist, and in Samaritan stating year 1. It is decorated with 50 stars, which Huller argues is another indication, along with year 1, that the throne dates to a Samaritan Jubilee year, which fell in 38 CE. On the front, the throne has an image of a ram, or lamb, standing under a bush, which Huller interprets as an image of the ram that was sacrificed by Abraham in the place of his son Isaac after God released Abraham from the obligation to sacrifice his firstborn son. Huller thinks this reflects an early Christology in which the political Messiah on the throne, that is, Marcus Agrippa, received the benefit of the spiritual Messiah's sacrifice as the Lamb or Ram of God, in other words, the sacrifice of the rebel leader who was executed by Pilate. This Herodian form of Christianity would have been based on Philo's view of the amalgamation of Jewish and Platonic philosophy, and it might very well have incorporated an abstract form of the cult of Julius Caesar's funeral reenactment as well. And the Gospel of Mark Antony, that's funny, the Gospel of Mark Antony. Hold on. And the Gospel of Mark Antony, if indeed it ever existed, evolved into the Gospel of Marcus Agrippa. Aside from the throne of St. Mark, Huller offers a wide variety of tantalizingly suggestive evidence from other sources. However, sadly, the quality of his scholarship is, in my view, spotty at best, and one can only hope that his thesis will attract the attention of other scholars to either confirm or refute the hypothesis. If indeed this primitive Herodian Christianity did exist, excuse me, the Romans might well have been promoting it not only in Palestine but also throughout the Jewish diaspora and indeed throughout the entire Hellenized portion of the planet. And if this is the case, there might well have been an Apostle Paul who was evangelizing around the Mediterranean and also writing epistles to his churches. And if so, this Paul, with his Roman and Herodian allegiances, would have been seen by rebellious Messianic Jews in Jerusalem as a spouter of lies, just as Eisman says. One of the most predominant criticisms of Caesar's Messiah is that the evidence, however meager or controversial it might be, that Christianity existed much earlier than the time of Vespasian. And if any or all of this speculation is correct, then of course, literally speaking, the Flavians didn't exactly invent Christianity, but they certainly did reinvent it, while obliterating any conclusive evidence that there had been anything earlier. The fact is that we don't have any of the source documents such as Q or Proto-Luke or the Hebrew Gospel that are postulated by redaction criticism, nor do we have the hypothetical original autographs of the Julian Gospel of Mark Antony, nor the Herodian Gospel of Marcus Agrippa, nor the pre-Flavian Pauline epistles. If Atwill's hypothesis is correct, it certainly follows that any and all earlier sources have been heavily redacted, if not completely rewritten by the Flavians, and this fact needs to be the basis of any further analysis. While there may be some truth in what the redaction critics and the Julian Origins theorists and Huller are saying, Atwill is simply not interested in participating in this speculation, neither in Caesar's Messiah nor in this book. All right, this is the next section of the introduction. The Flavians and the Jewish rebellion of 66 CE. Regardless of whatever stratagems the Romans and the Herodians might have devised during 100 years of uneasy peace, they assuredly did not succeed in healing the deep wounds stemming from the Roman conquest. A movement organized by Jewish sects known as the Zealots and Sicarii was continually fomenting revolution. A movement organized by Jewish sects known as the Zealots and Sicarii was continually fomenting revolution. In 66 CE, the Jews rose up and drove the Romans and Herodians out of the country. Nero sent his general Vespasian along with Vespasian's son Titus to recover the lost territory. Vespasian's family was intimately connected with the Herodians, as well as another powerful Jewish family, the Alexanders of Egypt. When Nero was killed in suspicious circumstances, the support of the Alexanders and Herodians was crucial to Vespasian's effort to gain the throne. This group of families obviously had the means.
Where's your mom and dad?
They went to work.
Your mom supposed to go work.
Yes, he supposed to do go to work. I know that's poor English, y'all. Yes, he do. He need to be getting up every day with Dad going to their job site. Vespasian's family was intimately connected with the Herodians as well as another powerful Jewish family, the Alexanders of Egypt. When Nero was killed in suspicious circumstances, the support of the Alexanders and Herodians was crucial to Vespasian's effort to gain the throne. This group of families obviously had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to create a new religion for Judea, and indeed for the entire world. Atwill continues, quote, "It is odd that so many members of the Flavian family were recorded as having been among Christianity's first members. Why was a Judaic cult that advocated meekness and poverty so attractive to a family that practiced neither? The tradition connecting early Christianity and the Flavian family is based on solid evidence but has received little comment from scholars. Reference 38. End quote. The rogues gallery of possible Flavian Christians cited in Caesar's Messiah includes Titus's mistress Bernice, possibly the same person as Saint Veronica, Titus Flavius Sabinius, consul in 82 CE, Vespasian's nephew, Sabinus's brother, the theologian Titus Flavius Clemens, Sabinus's wife, Flavia Domitilla, and the early pope known as Clement. The patron saint of France, Saint Petronilla, was another member of what the Catholic Church refers to as the Christian Flavii. Legend had it that Petronilla was the daughter of Saint Peter, but 16th century notices show that she was related to the Flavius Clemens mentioned above, whose great-grandfather was Titus Flavius Petronius, reference 18. The New Testament also records that the Flavians hosted leaders of the early church in their court. While in some cases the sources of this information are late and hagiographic, in other cases multiple and or possibly primary sources attest to early Flavian involvement in Christianity. These circumstances are extraordinarily difficult to explain if the origins of Christianity are as they are usually depicted, a movement built of humble fishermen, merchants, and slaves from Palestine. But as Atwell noted, quote, a Roman origin would also explain why so many members of a Roman imperial family, the Flavians, were recorded as being among the first Christians. The Flavians would have been among the first Christians because, having invented the religion, they were in fact the first Christians. End quote. That's reference 33. The great historian of that era, Josephus, soon became part of the Flavian milieu. As the story goes, initially a commander of rebel forces in the Jewish war, Josephus, who claims to have been born as Joseph Bar Matthias, a good Hasmonean name, was captured and delivered to the Romans. Given an audience with Vespasian, the historian predicted that the famous star prophecy of Isaiah would be fulfilled with Vespasian's rise to the throne of the Roman Empire. When the prophecy was fulfilled, the grateful Vespasian adopted Flavius Josephus into the royal family and granted him the patronage necessary to write his extensive works. Therefore, Josephus's history of the Jewish war, which ended in a tremendous bloodbath and the defeat of the Jewish rebellion in 73 CE, must be read with the understanding that it is a perfect example of the proverb, history is written by the winners. Next section. The Flavian Origins theory is straight-talking common sense. History tells us that Flavius Constantine the Great, inspired by a vision of a flaming cross of light at the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 CE, shifted the vast patronage of the Roman government and its tax revenues to Christianity. The Christian church was endowed with lands and property, and the entire city of Constantinople was built from the ground up as a Christian city. The Council of Nicaea was held to unify the tenets of the religion under Constantine's direction, and all the diverse sectarian forms of Christianity, aside from Roman Catholicism, became official heresies. Historians debate whether Constantine was truly a descendant of the Flavian dynasty of Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian, or whether his genealogy was a fabrication, in which case his family name may have been chosen in homage to the Flavians and their creation of Christianity. A brief pagan counter-revolution was attempted under Julian the Apostate, who reigned from 361 through 363 CE, but by 380 CE, the triumvirs Gratian, Valentinian, Valentinian II, and Theodotus felt confident enough to issue the Edict of Thessalonica, which pronounced that all pagans and heretics in the Roman Empire, quote, will suffer in the first place the chastisement of divine condemnation, and in the second, the punishment of our authority, which in accordance with the will of heaven, we shall decide to inflict, end quote. And that's reference 19. However, as the saying goes, Rome was not built in a day. Constantine's experience in replacing the existing religions across the Roman Empire should be compared and contrasted with Akhenaten's experience in his attempt to uproot the old religion of Egypt. With a single generation, Akhenaten's Atenite experiment was over. The old gods and the old priesthood restored, and Akhenaten was all but erased from history, that is, unless he somehow lived on as a type of Moses in Canaan. Religious beliefs are deeply and tenaciously held and tend to be passed from generation to generation, so there is tremendous inertia and resistance to change. Don't we know that to be the truth? My view is that Constantine's success must have been a result of many generations of sustained effort. Long before Constantine's time, Christianity, that is, Roman Catholicism, had manifested itself in a style that was clearly destined for imperial greatness. As early as the Epistle of Clement, 95 CE, the church was already organized in a hierarchical, quasi-military fashion, taking orders from the Bishop of Rome with a goal of evangelizing the world. Furthermore, as Atwill observed, quote, when one looks at the form of early Christianity, one sees not Judea but Rome, the church's structures of authority, its sacraments, its college of bishops, the title of the head of the religions, the supreme pontiff, were all based on Roman, not Judaic traditions. Somehow, Judea left little trace on the form of a religion that purportedly originated inside of it. End quote. And that's reference 29. Robert M. Price painted a vivid portrait of the absurdity of the conventional view of Christian origins. Quote, picture a religious ethic of conspicuous compromise with the occupying authorities, a gospel that tells its believers not to resist any who confiscate their property, but to pay Roman taxes and to carry a legionary's field pack twice the distance stipulated by Roman law. Imagine a story that blames not just Jews, but implicitly nationalistic, Messianic Jews for the destruction of their temple. A story that has the Messiah predict that the kingdom will be taken from Jews and given to a more worthy nation. Keep in mind how the preacher of this sect befriends Jews who collaborate with Rome and eulogizes a Roman centurion for having faith unparalleled among Jews. He is declared innocent by Roman authorities, but nonetheless is done in by Jewish rulers. Then think of how the predications of the fall of Jerusalem, a single generation, later correspond so closely to Josephus' account of the events, and furthermore, how Josephus even mentions Jesus as a righteous man and even as the Messiah of prophetic prediction, though he himself had proclaimed Vespasian the proper object of such prophecy. When someone suggests that Christianity may have been a safe, denatured Roman domesticated messianic methadone to replace the real and dangerous messianic heroin of the zealots, and that Josephus had something to do with it, it does not sound unreasonable on the face of it. End quote. Price, unfortunately, went on to reject the implications of his own analysis, adding, quote, what about the Roman tilting anti-Judaism, maybe anti-Semitism of the Gospels? Again, the old explanations are quite natural and adequate. We are reading the documents of Gentile Christianity, which viewed itself as superseding Judaism and Jewish Christianity. Why do their authors seem to kiss the Roman posterior? For apologetical reasons, to avoid persecution. Brandon Eisler and others saw that long ago. End quote, and that's reference 20. Aside from begging the question of how and why these Gentiles would adopt a radical Jewish Messianic Christianity only to ultimately supersede it, or how any Christian sect would kiss the Roman posterior, could be considered anything other than a raw instrument of Rome's government power. Price's argument here is also based on a failure to understand the nature and extent of the specific literary evidence for Flavian complicity, which I will explain below. Oh, for the truck. All right. And that is where we will end today. We're going to pick this back up tomorrow. And that is page 30, and we stopped at the last section, so we'll pick that back up, and it's entitled, But What About the Martyrs, right? Okay. All right, beautiful people, so it is Monday, October the 25th, 2021. Whew, stretch. Day 285 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 953. We read Psalms chapter 26 through 30, and we just finished reading more of the introduction from Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, the introduction, pages 17 through 30. All right, beautiful people, remember the link for all this stuff will be in the description box on both Facebook and on YouTube. So let's go ahead and do the blessing so we can roll up out of here and get our day started. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. I didn't see any questions. Wait, hold on. Can we please ask, is the soul body the same? And it's our spirit that moves into the spirit world. They're all different. A Yahuwah is one. Definitely, okay, so how I explained it before, well, okay, so I look at it this way. Clearly we can tell the body, right? The spirit is not the body. The body is the outer shell or the vehicle for the body. If you want to look at it in reference to a car so it's easy to understand, okay, so the body would be the shell of the vehicle, right? The soul would be like the what word can I use? It would be like the power behind the organs, right? Like the power that the brain gives off, and like our thoughts and emotions, right? That can be considered as a soul, right? Like the internal engine, the internal portions under the hood of the car that you can't see is there, but if you lift up the hood, you can see them. But also, if you peel back our skin, you can see our organs and stuff and everything inside. It's not necessarily the organs, or the engine, but it's the power and the things that they create, which is unseen, right? But the soul and the power of the soul goes hand in hand, right? And so you also have the spirit, which is the actual spiritual version of us, right? It looks just like us, but in a more perfected form, right? And that is also unseen. So there are three. That's how I look at it. That's how I understand it, right? So but it's our spirit, and they're interwoven together, right? You can, just like you can separate the spirit from the body, like when you go into the dream world, or if people are having out-of-body experiences, or in some places they call it astral projecting. It's the same thing, just depending on where you live at, which term you're most comfortable with. You're doing the same exact thing. You're having an out-of-body experience or astral projecting. But that's your actual spirit, right? It can detach from the body while still being attached to the body. You can experience other realms and things with your spirit that your physical body cannot do, right? There used to be. There is some places or hidden, I call them hidden schools, or they're not so hidden. It's there. For those who go looking for those things, you'll find them. And they teach it appropriately, but you have to be careful, because there are some teachers who teach you how to use this equipment you were born into this world with, spirit, soul, and body. They teach you how to use it to take advantage of others, and that's not how you should be. That's not how you should be using your person. Any aspect of your person, right? Everything that you were born with, which is everything everybody was born with, was given to us to help us explore and understand this world, or this habitat where we were put at, right? It's really like the training ground for the next level of life that we enter into after we shed our outer form, which is the physical body, right? The spirit never dies, but the experiences and everything that we experience while we're here with this body, we will take on with us through the medium of our soul. That goes with the body, stays here. The soul and the spirit stays attached forever. The feelings, the emotions, all the experience, the education that we experienced while we were here in this realm, in this avatar, this physical body, it stays attached to the spirit as it continues to move on to its next level of life, right? We really don't know what that is, because we don't. Let me not say that. I was about to say we don't get to come back here. I won't get into the details of that, but how can I say this? Maybe I should just leave it alone for now. Because that type of teaching is not for this what we do here every morning, right? Okay, so I'll just leave it, because I'll get started and I'll go on, and we're here simply to read the scriptures and understand it and apply it, right? That's it. I'll leave that there. All right, so I hope that answers your question. They're different, and their experiences. But the experiences of each spirit, soul, and body, they intertwine, right? And when we share our body, everything that we learned through our soul, we retain that, and it stays with our spirit, right? Okay, I'll leave it there for the moment. All right, beautiful people, that's it for today. Bella, I'm gonna call her. If y'all got your headphones in, and when I yell her name, it was loud and like, oh girl, you yelling. I'm sorry. She woke. She just came down here and handed me this pack of crackers. Bella, I'm about to end the video. If she don't hear me, I'm going to end it. Bella! Okay, y'all see, I called her, so she get up here tripping. Oh, I heard her. She said, coming. Come on, about to end the video. Okay. See, I was about to end it because you was taking too long, sis.
I was enjoying taking a nap.
Oh, okay. All right, come on and end this.
Yeah.
Stocking cap on your head.
In my hair.
Yeah, with your hair. Okay, y'all. See y'all tomorrow bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to end them first. Okay. Very good.
I want Jeremiah's laptop.
Yeah, you better get off his laptop.